What's stopping you or holding you back from making the progress that you desire at work? This week, we're talking about people who know it all. You're probably very smart. There are a lot of exceptionally bright people in the world, and you may be one of them, but nobody needs a reminder. A know it all is somebody who's constantly trying to share with you that they have a lot of credentials, a lot of experience, and that they know more than anybody else. It's a personality that can be difficult to manage as well as work with in a professional or team setting. And so, understanding some of the characteristics about a know it all and learning how to manage and lead yourself if you happen to have some of those attributes, as well as learning how to manage others on your team who have the attributes, is what we're focused on today. Common characteristics of know it all are people who dominate conversations. They have the right answer, so they cut other people off, or they redirect a conversation so that they can add value to it. They rarely admit that they're wrong or that they have a gap in their knowledge. And sometimes they dismiss other people's ideas or they ignore input so that they can continue to keep talking. Now, if you've been following along, that sounds a lot like some of the attributes we gave to alpha behavior. And there's a little bit of an overlap. A know it all is generally somebody who really needs to dominate the conversation by sharing their knowledge or their apparent knowledge, and may often refer to their degrees, their Mensa score, or other sorts of attributes that help them seem like they stand out and above others. There are some psychological implications to this. Maybe they do this because they're afraid of being seen as incompetent. Maybe there's trust or psychological safety issues. Maybe they were raised to believe that the smartest person in the room really does get rewarded. And so this is the way they try to jump in and feel more secure. In any case, what I want you to notice, of course, is do you do any of these things? And if so, then here are ways to lead yourself to different behaviors. Do you accept constructive feedback? If you won't or can't accept constructive feedback, it becomes a problem for the rest of the team. If you hear everything as a criticism, or people say to you, "What are you talking about? I wasn't complaining, I wasn't criticizing you." If you hear that a lot, I want you to stop and pay attention to it as a warning or a signal that maybe you're acting in a know it all manner at work. Specific things that you can do. Don't answer every question. You might be able to answer every question, but you don't have to answer every question. You don't need to be the first person who responds every single time. It's fine to be the first person who responds sometimes, but make sure that you sit back and observe others and see if they have a chance to contribute. Speaking of observing others, listen to them, ask them questions. You may be able to help share your knowledge by asking others and guiding a conversation instead of overwriting a conversation and jumping in and butting in with facts and figures and content. It's important to share your knowledge, but share it carefully. Look for cues. Did somebody ask for your thoughts? If they did, by all means, dive in. Or if you're in a meeting or you're in a team environment where people seem to be at a gridlock and you think you can help lead them out of that, suggest that. Say, "Hey guys, I think I have a suggestion for how we could think about this differently. Can I go ahead?" Read the room and notice your own behaviors. If you're the one who's always jumping in, cutting other people off, and maybe going on too long, create signals to yourself that allow you to pause and say, "Oops, sorry, did it again." Now, what if you're a leader who has individuals on your team who are know-it-alls? An important thing is don't just silence them or yell at them. Don't try to berate or belittle them. Guide your individuals towards humility and deeper self-awareness. You want to create a culture where it's okay to say, "I don't know." And you may have to model that by being the person who says, "I don't know." When it's acceptable to say, "I don't know," people will resist trying to fill every gap with information that may or may not be accurate. Give structured opportunities for input. In other words, if you're in a meeting, you might say, "Hey, we're going to go around the room and everybody's going to have a chance." Or you might call people by name. Now, if you do that and somebody still interrupts so that they can provide their own perspective and information, then it's important to address that behavior and say, "Oh, hang on a second. So and so is speaking. We'll come back to you." Also address that in a one-on-one setting. So you would say things like, "I've noticed that you tend to jump in and interrupt people. It's important for everybody to have their own turn. Can we talk about ways that you can work on waiting for your turn? Or you might say, hey, I really think it's important within our team for everybody to have a chance to talk. So when other people are talking, I want you to work on not interrupting them. Additionally, you may need to help them minimize how much airtime they consume. So you may say things like, you know what, you really have a great deal of valuable knowledge. When we're in the team meetings and we're trying to give time for everybody to talk, I need you to try to condense and be more concise with your information that you share. Now, it's also important that you appreciate what they know. Look for opportunities where they might be able to share their expertise and knowledge in a better setting. So maybe they could be a mentor, a subject matter expert. Maybe they could be a project lead on a particular initiative. They could lead a workshop or record their knowledge in video lessons. There are lots of ways that you can help people who do actually know a lot be able to share that in the right environment and setting. You're looking for ways to recognize them, but also create balance within the team. You want to acknowledge that they bring a lot of knowledge and other attributes, but set clear expectations for collaboration and humility in learning to influence without dominating. At work, some people really do know it all, or most of what's worth knowing. So acknowledge and praise the people who do, but don't allow them to hog all the time and attention on the team. When you're the leader, it's sometimes faster to just tell people the answer. You need to do it this way, don't do it that way. But it's really important that you actually develop and coach these individuals, encourage them to try a different way to engage and talk and share their knowledge. Work with them one-on-one, discuss things that would help them. Maybe you create cues or signals so that if you notice or observe them falling back on know-it-all behaviors, you might be able to prompt them for a period of time so that they are aware and they can say, oops, I did it again. I know I can do better. Lead yourself and then lead others.